Hi everyone, today I'll talk about how to prepare for the John Locke essay competition. And some of you might ask, this is just an essay competition, so I'll just write an essay. Why do I need a plan? And I would say if you're very familiar with writing essays of thousands of words, then you might be right. But if you don't have a lot of experience with writing long essays, you should probably have a plan before you start directly writing anything in your essay. Why? Because the John Locke essay competition is an academic writing competition, which means not only do you need to write 2,000 words, you also need to do it in an academic style. This means you need to do citations, you need to have careful and rigorous writing, you need to collect the evidence, you need to analyze the evidence you have collected, and you also need to do paraphrasing carefully to avoid plagiarism. In short, you should have a plan about how to progress with your essay to ensure your efficiency. And here, I'd like to share with you a plan that I designed for my students. So of course, this should just be a reference for you, and you should adjust it based on your own case. But generally speaking, this essay competition requires a minimum of 100 hours of time investment for students with relatively good English. And out of the 100 hours, 60 hours will be arranged for reading. Why? Because you need to read about 40 plus high quality sources, including journal articles and book chapters, to ensure you have a relatively good grasp of relevant theories, facts, and other knowledge on your topic. So let's say you need an hour and a half to read one journal article and take down reading notes. You will need a minimum total of 60 hours to finish the reading part. And then the second part is writing. Here, I have allocated 40 hours to writing, and I know this is confusing because you might be wondering, why would I need 40 hours to write a 2,000 word essay? Because that means writing only 50 words per hour. Maybe a turtle would write more than this if it could. But this issue with academic writing is you really need to write very rigorously. It's not like writing a story or a diary where you don't really need evidence to prove anything you say. In an academic essay, everything theoretically and ideally needs to be based on robust facts and logic. And for all factual claims you've made in your essay, you need to have evidence. This means that while 2,000 words don't sound like too much, the massive reading, thinking, reasoning, paraphrasing, and analyzing you need to do in the process are actually very time consuming. And this is why I suggested before that you should read at least one past winning essay to have a general idea of what this competition looks for. Here, I have divided the 40 hours of writing into 3 parts. 20 hours of drafting, which typically includes 2 to 3 rounds of drafts, 15 hours of editing, and then 5 hours of proofreading. And what I do with my students is I always design clearly the targets of each round of the essay. For example, I usually suggest taking 1 to 2 months to prepare for this competition with a daily 1 to 2 hour investment. The goal for the first 2 weeks will be to do massive reading while taking careful notes. And in week 3 and 4, the goal will be to create a very detailed essay outline with clear arguments and counter-arguments and evidence and finish the first draft. And week 5 and 6 will be for editing and refinement. So through this video, I just want to send this message out. It's important to have a plan if you've decided to participate in this competition. It requires a certain amount of time investment, especially if you want to have a good result. Besides, reading is the foundation of good writing, and with a properly designed preparation plan for yourself, it's easier to make steady progress in your reading and writing. Alright, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.